happiness is a state of mind, not an achievement.
Yeah.
Suck on that,
Nah, I'm good.
cracker. Have you ever noticed that, like, the majority of people who are saying the market is dead, ball python market in general, are people who, well, the majority of them are not ball python people, like, per se, like, they're, people like Kevin or whatever, but a lot of them aren't even in the ball python game. They're, like, in other species, and it's like... Tell me you're envious of our market without telling me you're envious of our market.
Is that what you... So, I have noticed that a little bit. And...
Well, you're not... you don't really notice a lot, so...
Without sounding like a arrogant douche,
late.
You naturally want to go to that. Like, you naturally think, like, okay, well, like, let's be honest. Unless there's something I don't know or something I'm not seeing... The ball python market is what keeps the reptile industry relevant.
Oh yeah, I mean,
and afloat.
A lot of the shows get the numbers. You
complain.
Ball pythons bring a lot of people into the
mix. They're like the best first pet. So yeah, and then the thing is like, breeding aside, if you're gonna get into reptiles and you're a little bit timid or you're young or whatever, you don't want to sell them a fucking retic or something gnarly. So they safe route is ball python. One, I always tell people this too at the shows. Like, I mean, I have kids are like, oh yeah, I'll clean up after the dog. I'll clean up their shit and this and that. Parents end up taking care of the animals, no matter what animal it is.
Oh yeah.
And I always tell them like that is true. Now, if that were to happen and it was a ball python, it's the easiest animal, regardless of species, in my opinion, to take care of. Because you can leave them. I mean, even easier than a goldfish. You could leave those fucking things unfed for 3 weeks if you had to, like if you were gone. And not that that's a good practice, but let's say you had to, they're fine not eating for 3 weeks.
Well,
if it's
in comparison to like a dog.
Yeah, dog or a cat.
Like you put a dog off the food for 3 weeks, it's going to have issues, dude.
Yeah. So, I mean, that being said, that's a lot of the people that go to these shows. Now, it's not great for us breeders that have higher end animals because they don't move with those people, but those people do buy a lot of entry level animals and they feel safe getting a ball python. So you remove the ball python element from all these shows and all this shit. I mean, I get it. There's a lot of ball python breeders out there. But you remove all these guys and you just put carpet python guys and whatever, corn snake, you're gonna get such a drastic reduction in what did I say, corn pythons? Or did I say corn snakes?
No, you said carpet pythons.
And then after that.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm losing it. But
I think you were okay, dude.
You take that out of weird. Take that out of the equation, you're gonna the shows are gonna drop off in attendance. One, and two, they're not gonna be able to fill out shows like Pomona.
Yeah,
with anything of interest unless they start introducing plants and fucking birds and shit.
I mean,
is that?
I mean, even apart from like the.
Am I off base?
No, you're right on. I think you have a pulse on the situation, but. What was I going to say? Damn it. No, like, as far as you were saying as a first pet, there's a lot of snakes that are docile, so to speak, not really known to, bite first, ask questions later. But, like, for instance, with corn snakes, I don't know anybody, like, even just recently, I know a family that had bought a baby corn snake, and it was 6 months, not even 6 months, and it escaped. It's gone. And they were never going to find that thing probably. Which, that aspect, like ball pythons, man, they're not, they don't have that. They're not like, you know what I mean? They're not that squirmy, like, get on and move. Like, there's so many aspects to why, like, those people come to the shows and they're purchasing those like lower end ball pythons for pets, tenfold over all these other species.
Yeah.
So some respect would be nice,
Some fucking respect
just,
on our animals would be nice. But, yeah, like the squirmy thing, like when I had that king snake and I got it as a baby, I was holding it over shit because that thing flies.
Oh yeah, you have to.
Yeah, you're not going to lose the ball python like that.
No,
And
every
pythons
ball
to your-
pythons that escaped, I've always found it like in the same area, in the rack, like on the heat, just chilling.
Yeah,
Like they don't go far. They don't.
right.
They're not looking for a tree.
So
Contrary
that
to
being said,
popular recent belief.
Yeah. So that being said, the ball python market is very much needed, very much alive, and we've touched on it before, but the economy, the flooding of the market from the 2020 COVID breeders, that there's a lot of byproduct that people don't want. That's created a huge supply and demand issue in the ball python market, especially when it comes to morph market. But I think that, it's just one of those times that we're dealing with some factors. It's not dead, in my opinion.
It's shifting.
It's shifting and it's evolving.
And it's not a standalone thing either. It's not like it's not like it's doing something abnormal that every other industry in the market isn't suffering from right now as well. So you gotta take a little bit, give a little bit in that conversation, because some of it is that, but I think the majority of it is just the economy, man.
For sure. And even when we got into it, like, I know people are saying the same thing. Like, depending on who you tuned into, they're like, oh, the market's dead. Oh, we breed ball pythons, the easiest thing in the world to do. That's a boring snake, blah, 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 blah.
Which, by the way, that's a weird take to me. Like,
What's that?
well, people say that they're easy.
I know.
And it's like, I don't know what that means, dude. Like, it's easy to be successful breeding them. That sounds like a good idea. You know what I
Right.
mean?
It sounds like a selling point.
Yeah, it sounds like a good,
Yeah.
a good thing about it. Not something to like shit on. But there is a little bit of that, and you find that, and there's a lot of species that are really hard to keep propagating in captivity. So, I can understand like where that kind of comes from, but it is a bit snobbish, dude.
Yeah,
Let's be real.
Yeah, and like anybody that said that, I've never seen anyone say that has really quality animals. Obviously, somebody that does means they're more serious, they have more of a business, they want to sell their animals, they're not going to shit on the market. But so that people are going to say that as like a retort. But like, you've never seen all these people, and we, everyone knows who we're talking about, the people out there that do this. Like, look at their collections, look what they have. They're not presenting anything to the market. They're not succeeding in the market.
Yeah.
So obviously, the next best thing to do is shit on the market because it's not working for them. So why would it work for anybody else?
And then shit on the market. Okay, got it.
Yeah, in that order.
In that order.
So like, we heard the same thing getting into it.
You shit on the market a lot yesterday, huh? Or was that today?
That was today.
Oh yeah, you shit all over the market and the kitchen.
Yeah. No.
Oh, yeah, you're right. That's more the dining room, actually.
Yeah.
You're right.
So yeah. So we heard the same thing getting in, and I don't know. When I got in, it was like, it's kind of a boring story. There's nothing exciting about it, but I remember getting in. I always had a snake growing up, and like it was during COVID. It was like January 2020.
How did you get in touch with the hobby? Like
YouTube, Miguel and Barchek.
Just watching videos because you were
Yeah.
into snakes and stuff, or
Yeah, and I had my daughter. I had her winter break, and I had her for a couple weeks, and we liked watching those videos, and I had a snake always growing up, but I never bred any, and so then I started seeing these. I never even crossed my mind to breed them, or that there was a market for them, and I was just watching all these cool videos, these new things being hatched out. A lot of them was Miguel, Barchek, who else? Billy. Whatever I can get my hands on, I just liked watching it. And then
how about good old what's that one guy's name? The guy that just laughs at everything. Chris something.
Hansen.
Chris
No,
Hansen.
no,
No,
I'm kidding.
dude, this is the wrong show, bro.
Bobby the Bamboo.
Whoa.
Bobby the Bamboo. His
No.
bamboo. Yeah, dude.
Oh yeah, the snake.
Yeah.
Was that the one that bit him in the face?
I don't think so.
There was he used to wear a snake around his neck in all the videos.
Chris Hardwick.
Hardwick.
That was the snake. The
I
bamboo.
heard that, like, I don't know if it was a video that got deleted or what, or if it's out there or not, but someone said that snake like tagged him in the face, like live on a video.
That's awesome. It's Bobby. Bobby the Bamboo.
Bobby the Bamboo.
I did watch a lot of him.
You did? So did I.
Yeah.
What's that other guy too? That the I think he's a cop. It's purple Olympus.
Dude, he always
reptiles.
bothered me. He always irked me.
I like because he
never
was one of
watched.
the first guys that I watched that was like relatable, because it was like, okay, this guy's doing this like in his house or in a house, and he's he's got the racks, and he's doing it like comparable to something that I'm doing. So I watched a lot of him.
Mr. Doom and Gloom.
But yeah, that was what I was going to say, talking about people that are in the ball python industry that talk shit on it. From the very beginning, that guy would just constantly just shit on your dreams of doing anything with it, like
Which is also an arrogant approach, because it's
really
like
weird.
It
It's
was
almost
a
like,
way of
look at me doing this, but you won't be able to.
This
do
is
it.
so hard. You have no idea. Don't even try. 'Cause
Yeah.
I don't want the competition. That's how I read it. And so I was like, dude, I get it. It's not what it is on paper, but it's also not as bad as you made it out to be. And when you don't have the right genetics, you're going to have a tough time moving. So I don't even know Olympus pythons.
Olympus,
I have
yeah.
nothing against the guy. Just I got that vibe, and it was just never spoke to me. So I didn't watch much of his. I didn't consume much of his content.
I don't
But-
need anybody else's doom and gloom.
No, I got enough doom and gloom.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know, man. Like, for me, like the passion of it was pretty instant, and like the desire and the drive were there. So I was always, everything was always like, the sunny side, the cup's half full versus the, I always try to pull what I can. Like, there's been ups and downs since I got into this, and it's like, I can see if I had a different viewpoint on things, or if I was, more of a, downtrodden, I don't want to say personality, but, I could see how somebody could easily just like cave in and throw their hands of it and just walk away. But for me, it's just like, dude, there's just too much writing on it, from just a strict, like, I want this, So people like Miguel were appealing to me in the beginning. And that's when, the transition, when you start figuring out who's who. And that's what happened with that one guy, is like, I just like, this guy just keeps shitting on my idea, what I have going on in my head, my dreams. I'm not sharing them with people and stuff, but it's in my head. And this guy's basically telling me that it's a fucking pipe dream, and it's, nobody wants to hear that. Kind of a bad approach to it, especially if you're trying to grow and expand your own thing and bring people in. It's kind of like shooting yourself in the hand.
What was that? What are you doing over there?
I don't know.
What are you doing?
Nothing,
Throwing
dude.
Fucking shade, dude.
What are you talking about? Do you know someone that shot themselves in the
How dare
hand?
you?
Oh, I'm
How
sorry.
dare you?
Oh, that's right.
So speaking of which, when you talk about Miguel, like I saw he was the first guy, or one of the first guys that, and Hardwick, to be honest, because he did those, how to make $100,000 with whatever. And so got the gears turning, and I'm like, oh shit, there's actually a market here.
Yeah.
And so then, to kind of hold my feet to the fire and to help keep myself accountable, that's where the investment portion came in, because I've done things and I hate sucking at things, and I just go all into whatever it is that I do. And then I get like, competent or good at it, and then I go on to the next thing. I didn't want that. And I knew it was going to require some longevity. So
Yeah.
I had access, because of COVID, to my 401k with no penalty. So I ripped it all out, dude, and I just went all in. And I knew that, to your point too, I knew that not only did I enjoy it, but I knew that it would keep me in it. Like, it would prevent me from saying, oh, let me just scrap this. This is not going anywhere, as soon as I wanted it to. I was like, no, I'm all in. I have no choice. But in doing that, and I do recommend people to do that. I'm not going to say it's going to work out for you. I mean, I'm far from having it worked out, quote unquote, for me. But it does, because I had that mindset that there was no other option. I really in going all in and soaking up as much info as I could. I was never burdened with that idea, like, oh, you can get out anytime you want. It was like, no, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then it helped me kind of dig deeper into it and really it helped grow my passion for it too, in a sense. And then I realized over time how therapeutic it was and how much I enjoyed it and seeing these animals. And so, that was my big thing. Once that light bulb went off, like, oh shit, you can make money from this, then I was done.
Yeah. That was same for me. Like, my whole life, I'm like, I get really fired up for something, and I hit it hard for a period of time, and then I just lose interest. That's pretty much like everything I've ever been in life, whether it was like sports as a kid or like, you know, even playing guitar. Like such a huge passion at one point in my life, and I rarely play my guitar nowadays, you know.
Same here.
But with this and what added to that confidence in going full bore was the fact that, you know, at a certain point I realized like I'm more passionate now than I've ever been. It just keeps growing. Like you know, 10, 15 years ago, if it was something else, 2 years, 3 years in, you know, especially when you do what we did, which was buy a bunch of hatchlings, man, I had the worst patience, and I still have bad patience, but I learned to have some patience with just, you know, buying hatchlings and waiting for 2 years minimum for something to come of that. You know, that'll test you right off the bat. You know what I mean? Like you see every day. I remember just seeing other people cutting eggs and just thinking about that's gonna come one day. And it was like, you know, this was in like 2000, early 2019, and I've got these hatchlings, and I'm like, you know, like, okay, now what? You know, you just, you know, now you learn how to, you know, the husbandry, all that stuff. You fine tune all that. You learn about your snake room, where you keep them. You know, how to keep the conditions correctly. Like there's all kinds of little things that you get to do in that 2 year period. But yeah, that'll definitely like test your desire and your passion.
Yeah,
because a lot of people probably, you know, and I know, like I see it happen all the time, and I kind of did it, but you know, people, you know, a year in get that itch and they go buy a, you know, proven breeder female.
Well, dude, I did
get the show on the road. I mean, I feel like everyone does
shit.
that, you know, but
I did the same thing. And like, to be clear, when I pulled that money out, I had already been doing it for a little over a year. So, you know, I had like 18 aquariums or like glass aquariums and like shelving and all this. And it would take me to clean like 15 snakes. I remember it took me like 5 hours one time because I had those enclosures. And I know so little about, you know, compared to what I know now about keeping them. But I didn't have the money for $3,500 ARS racks or Freedom Breeder racks. I had these things. I was making do. I was buying a bunch of animals that I probably don't even have any of them anymore. And but then over time, it's kind of one of those things where it's really hard to explain to somebody without them experiencing it themselves, because you really realize it's not an overly complicated industry, but there are a lot of nuances that you don't account for. And then you see and you're like, oh, duh, idiot. Or, oh, I didn't realize that this is going to be a constant problem because I've never heard it talked about or whatever. But, so when I took that money, I was like, I need to step up like yesterday. Like, I don't want to wait, and I was impatient. So, you know, bought a couple racks, and then that really was like what was like the kickoff for me. Once I had the first clutch too, holy shit. But I mean, the first year and a half, I think I couldn't even tell you how many hours I spent in the message groups on YouTube Lives, watching videos, commenting on things. Like, I was just inundated with the market.
I did that for like a year before I bought anything. I literally just like kind of like
that's better than me.
Scoped it out, and like it was. I mean, I had. It's funny because there was like I've talked about on other podcasts. We had the death of my son when he was born, and so that kind of like just rearranged life. Like that put me and my wife in a tailspin for quite a while. So coming out of that, and then kind of like just the refocus that was required just to kind of get back on track, and then just kind of realizing, like, you know, I thought about when I was younger what I was passionate about, and it was animals always, you know, whether it was my dad, you know, growing up, my dad had a, you know, pheasant, quail, all kinds of different species. I was always catching reptiles, amphibians. I had tortoises growing up, and, you know, I always had, like, I would build like setups in like big 55-gallon Rubbermaid trash cans, and I'd fill it out like 2/3 with dirt, and I'd decorate them, and I'd have alligator lizards in there, and I'd, you know, keep them in there and feed them, and so going back to like what I was saying, like I just kind of like I realized like what I wanted to do. So I had this like really broad focus on, and it was reptiles. It was funny because I was working out of town, and my wife called me and she said her boys wanted to get reptiles, so they went to Triple L and bought a corn snake, and I forget what the other kid got. I think a tortoise or something. Tortoise is no longer with us, but yeah, that's what it was originally. It was a tortoise. And that kind of sparked that for me. Like it kind of all happened at the same time, and it kind of made me go like, what, that's weird, you know, like what, that's kind of weird. And I was working, like I was in like Louisiana or something. I was in another state working. So I came back home and I had an idea. I was going to do like a dry goods type deal, like internet web store type thing. And then I got heavy into corn snakes. I actually had kind of like if you're talking about all the tanks, like a year before I got into the ball pythons, I had like 8 pairs of, 1-to-1s of corn snakes, like not knowing what I'm doing again, of course, but like, just like I was going to do corn snakes. And then it wasn't until I think it was when I started seeing Hardwick and those guys when I started getting into the ball python thing. And also I wanted to point out too, like that learning curve too, like, when I first got into the ball python thing, like if I would have gone with that original idea, I would have just completely fucked myself. I'd be one of those guys just selling my whole collection and getting out. 'Cause I wanted to get just anything and everything that was just so different and cool, like not looking at the market or looking at value or looking at like the important aspects, like the when I say value, I mean like genetically, like certain combos, like what people want, what people value. And thank God for Sebastian, because he, like, talking to him for months before I even bought anything from him, but he kind of laid it out for me. But even now I look back and think, as good as I did do because of that guidance early on, there's a bunch of shit I would have done better. And there's already a few things that I've completely moved away from that were like one of my original projects was the Holy Grail project. And I produced one clutch and I was over it and ready to get out of it.
But yeah, it's important too, is mentors and not even necessarily people you looked at as mentors at the time, but people that, like, it's like when I get new people now, I'm excited when people are excited, and I just want to, share with whatever limited knowledge I have. I want to share it with them. And that's what Anthony Zavala did, Granddaddy Herbs. And I bought some snakes off him off like Craigslist. I had 2 snakes. I went and bought 4 more from him. So I had, those were my 6 snakes. But he talked I met at his house. We talked in his driveway for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
And dude, I was so pumped after that conversation.
Yeah.
There was so much I didn't even know. And so, without getting too much in the weeds with the mentors, but that was like my first legit mentor that I vibed with, that I respected.
Local, that you could interact
and
with
local,
in a real.
So I think
real
that's
world.
important too, is like, that's, it goes back to what we talked about before. You don't shit on the new people, because often, the odds are probably that they won't pursue it and they'll fall out. But there are those factors, which is pretty much anybody in the industry was, part of that pool. And, you never know which one's going to actually stick with it and be a contributing member of the industry or the community.
Yep.
So don't treat people as if, even if they look like, dude, when I first saw you, I thought you lived in a forest.
There we go.
And I thought you sold like
Desert, actually.
fucking wax for a living.
Earwax.
Yeah. And earwigs.
Goat earwax that we make into soap.
Yeah. So, but little did I know.
Which I have for sale, by the way. $6.99 a bar. Hit me up in the DMs.
Little did I know you live in a fucking cactus field, not the forest.
Yeah, cactus field.
But yeah, so
some Hakuma.
You never know.
You know what Hakuma is? I think I'm saying it right. Hachuma, maybe?
Yeah. Totally.
Well, it's a psychedelic cactus.
Well, one thing we didn't have like that I wish kind of we would have had at the time was genetic testing. Like, personally, because I think that, obviously it's on everybody to do their own research, but I think that alone has like provided so much insight to the animals and everything, and how to breed them and how to sell them, and how you can structure your collection, because that tool is available to us now. Obviously it's like evolving, and it's not by any means a perfect thing yet, and it's science, so it's constantly evolving. But I think that the fact that they've been able to nail down some of these projects, some of these genetics, I think it's, in my opinion, it's saved people money, in the sense of like, they're able to, like we always talk about, I would rather buy one badass powerhouse animal for $5,000 than 20 animals that are just mediocre. Because if you do put in the patience and the time, it's going to have much higher yield, lower overhead, all kinds of good things. So I think that it puts people in positions to do that, maybe if they're able to.
What if those, whatever amount, 20, what did you say, how many? 20?
Just throwing numbers out.
Well, whatever. So, like, say it's 20. What if all those were, like, all 66% double het something?
Yeah, none of them proved out. That'd be a waste of money.
Well, I mean, come on, out of 20. But see,
Okay,
that's
then say
but see,
5.
okay. But that bringing up, you were just talking about genetic testing and how it's changed. It does keep it honest, because how many stories are there of people that sold animals that were supposed to be het that weren't het, and like it's happened where people didn't know this, and it wasn't like they were trying to screw people, and it's legit happened where people knew they were selling animals that weren't het and were trying to screw people over, make a quick buck and get out.
Yeah.
But back then it was like, you had 2-3 years to run before that knowledge would come out. But now it's it's keeping people honest now, because you can literally buy a snake today, get it shipped on Monday, get it on Tuesday, make a clipping off of it, send it in, a week later have results of what it is. And I mean, what at that point, it makes it a lot harder to be a shithead, dude.
Right.
An asshole,
Yeah, and I think that's a good deterrent for people to like try and scam people. And let's say somebody doesn't want to test it, you're still going to buy it at the pos het price, and maybe you come up, maybe you don't, but at least you're not getting scammed, like, obviously.
Yeah. Another aspect that the genetic testing thing too is like, so they're building their database off of people sending their sheds in for animals, and generally speaking, that's probably not a problem when you come to certain genes that that are standalone genes. Like, I'm sure it's not a problem with, like, look, you see a leopard, you can pretty much tell it's a leopard. You see a pinstripe, you can tell it's a pinstripe. Like, certain genes it doesn't really play into, but a lot of these, I'll use, Trick and Hurricane, like, ends up being the same, so it's not a problem. It makes it a little bit easier.
Just a different name.
But, I don't know if you heard about the whole confusion thing going on. Super confusing, dude.
Super confusion.
Yeah. With acid. And then also they quote unquote think that there might be some sort of relationship between confusion and red stripe. But then they were saying something about acid and confusion not showing up on the same test too. So, going back to what I was saying, like, if we're relying on the general public to send tests in for something, you take a gene like that, or even, you could even say even though I think visually there's been some, clarification on that with Justin making supers and stuff, but even like Stranger Mahogany, there's a lot of people selling mahoganies, there's a lot of people selling strangers or that are actually mahogany. And, that's whatever. But, with this acid thing, like, if we're relying on people to send their sheds in, and all it takes is like one breeder 10 years ago producing 50 confusions that actually are the acid gene, and then those 50 animals go out to 20, 30, 40, 50 other breeders, and then they produce, and 10, 15 years down the line you have a completely tainted genetic pool of animals that aren't what they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, so they have that puts a big strain on them, and I think that's probably what we're seeing now. It may be something to do with that. It puts a big strain on them to come to the conclusions. Like, a lot of times, like I said, it doesn't. There's a lot of genes where it's not an issue, but like stuff like that, like, I'm curious to see how that all plays out.
Yeah, I mean, and it doesn't matter who you are, because with what you're saying, it could be fucking Justin that has something that's not even the same.
Right.
So it's not like you can say, let me go to this breeder because they for sure have this gene. Because
right.
You never know. So that's why I think it's in such a, like, it's definitely in its infancy, but just so far as we've come, as far as proving out hets alone, I mean, that's huge. Obviously, that's a problem, like, that would be just like make me want to go to sleep if I was in the genetic testing field. What you just talked about. Like,
why? How
do you wrap your brain around that?
Well, you have to do it because you're going to have to. How are you going to have any conclusions?
Yeah, but like, how do you exactly? But my thing is like my brain. I hated science, so my brain wants to shut off when
science hates you too.
When I see a variable like that, it's like
Well,
damn,
yeah.
how do I contend with that? How do I
Well, it's something that nobody's really talked about, but it's
how do you
true.
remedy that?
I mean, there's a lot of different. I mean, like I said, like a lot of times, it's been cleared up. Some of it's been cleared up before we even had the testing for it. But like, Monarch and Ultramel, that's been cleared up. Like, I feel like Stranger and Mahogany has been pretty cleared up. Although I still believe there are probably a lot of people out there calling their Mahogany Stranger.
Yeah, but I remember like 3.5 years ago, Jason Amos was showing me, like he had, when this debate was like
Hot.
the debate, right, at the point, he had a lot of Stranger. He was showing me the same exact combos with Stranger and with Mahogany and how completely different they were.
Yeah, they are.
And to me, like, I was like, why is this even an argument?
Because I think because of that, because there were people that were doing that.
Well, it was also
So, like,
for the
so you
price
get-
tag of Stranger, too.
So you have some Joe Schmo that means no harm. He's looking on more market and he wants Stranger and he sees this guy's, in Albuquerque selling fucking Stranger Het clowns for, $1,000 and it's a deal and,
They're Mahogany.
but they're Mahoganies. But he doesn't know that. And, 5 years down the line, he's produced generations of these animals, sold them out to other people. And all of a sudden they're like, hey, dude, once we have all the testing and like, we can verify 100%, that like a lot of people's roosters are going to come home on that shit when they get the tests for a lot of these animals. And like, I just think like thinking about like Miguel, like what happened to Miguel when he first got in and stuff. And like, just like, there's always going to be shitty people, genetic testing or not. But I feel like it just takes away some of their tools because now they don't got that runway of 2-3 years to sell you an animal that they know isn't fucking het just to make a quick buck and split. They don't have that luxury anymore. I said, most of that shit,
And that'll really test your resolve and your staying power in this industry. Like, you have Miguel that fucking pretty much threw 150K away or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Ton of money. And because he got screwed over.
Got burned like all different directions in one deal. Dude.
Yeah. And I mean, that's enough to push anyone out of this market. But
yeah.
But I mean, if anyone has any doubts as to whether or not he's sticking around, I mean, at this point, I don't know what is wrong with him. But
going back to the doom and gloom thing too, it's like if anyone had anything to doom and gloom about, it would have been Miguel in that moment.
yeah, Miguel's a great example. I know he gets so much fucking hate because he's successful or people, whatever the reason is. But like, that's such a good example of a person to market yourself or not market yourself, but to like take into consideration when you're looking at things like this. Like, yeah, exactly what you said. He could be more than pretty much anybody I know. Now, I'm sure there's other people that have stories, but as far as who I know, he's like the main one who has a case for saying this market's dog shit. Like, don't even get in it. It's a waste of time. I lost a ton of money off the rip, but he didn't do that, and he stuck with it. He put in the work. He put in the effort. He fucking has his YouTube thing. He has all this, other things he's doing that he's been able to do because of the ball pythons. And obviously, he's still making sick-ass snakes.
Constantly positive while all this is going on.
Yeah,
too.
because, I know that he's faced adversity in his life, and I think that people that have, gone through a fair share of adversity or problems, like, they're more well-equipped to deal with a market like that. And because, it's like, even now, if something bad happens and disappoints me, I'm like, well, that fucking sucks, but it does zero good to sit here and dwell on it.
Yeah.
Now what do I do to unfuck myself or unfuck the situation? It's never, oh, I'm going to sit here and feel sorry for myself. Let me sit here and fucking blah. It's like, that does nothing. Like, pull your fucking pants up, get over it, and figure out how you get through it. And too often people succumb to the latter or the former, and they just like, oh, well, fuck this, I'm mad, I'm grumpy, I'm angry, nothing ever works out for
it's
me.
a mindset, dude.
Yeah, I'm going to sell all my shit, and this whole industry's fucked.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, yeah, and that's the wrong person to listen to.
That's the person. That person was going to do that no matter what it was, and for any reason.
Yeah, because the moment they face a little bit of adversity, they checked out.
Yeah.
And that's not going to get you anywhere in any industry, let alone this one.
Yeah.
But it also goes back to what we've talked about before in that it's so cliche, but you really got to enjoy the animals in the process and all this other stuff. And for me, dude, I dig hatching animals. It's like my favorite thing to do.
It is.
And cutting eggs is the coolest thing ever. It's so exciting to see what you're going to get, especially, and I have a couple snakes still that I'm like, I still don't know what the fuck they are. I know what the pairing was, quote unquote, but I don't know what they are.
Yep.
They're just so unique looking that I'm keeping them. And like stuff like that, even if they don't have any financial benefit for me, I still think they're such rad animals that I haven't seen before. And, that's part of the whole process too, is like self gratification. It's not necessarily like I don't have my self gratification in this market doesn't come from when I sell an animal only. That's awesome, but there's so much more to it.
Oh yeah.
And if you don't have that and you're just looking to make a quick buck, then man, I'm 1,000 people have said it before, but it ain't gonna happen.
Well, I always think too, like, I always trip out when I think about, like, on feeding day, and I'll think every week, the last 5 years, I've done this on this day. You know what I mean? Like, whatever it was, Tuesday, I think I've recently changed it to Thursdays, but Tuesday was like the day for like 4.5 years. It's like, but I'll never complain about it, and I'll never look at it as like, oh God, I can't wait to be done with it. You know what I mean? Or oh God, I got to go do this. I mean, to this point, still, yeah, it's not even work. I'll catch myself sometimes. I'll like tonight leaving to come do the rats and to do the podcast. It's like, you know, my son doesn't understand it. It's like, but like I was saying, like, you told me you didn't have to go to work, and I'm like, oh, I'm not. I'm going, and then. My wife's like, well, no, that is his work too. That's his, you know, and I, it's like, it dawns on me like for a minute, like, oh yeah, it is work. Like, it's not even like work to me, you know, at all. Well, but it is work, but but if you enjoy it, it's not.
Well, we've talked about this before, and I'm sure a lot of people out there can relate. Like when your significant other they see that you enjoy it, and so they don't, in their minds, whether it's subconscious or consciously, they don't see it as work. And they're like, "Oh, you're just gonna go fuck around? You're gonna go fuck around?"
Oh, I get that too.
With your snakes, and it's like, well, yeah, and it's like, well, you know, it's not consistent. Yeah, it isn't at this point. However, it's very ebb and flow, and when that shit flows up, I don't see anyone complaining then.
And we're building something.
Yeah, and it takes time.
It takes time, and it takes
any industry does.
Yeah, and not only does it take time and like duration, like it's gonna take some years to build, but it also takes my time.
Right.
Like I need to dedicate time to these different endeavors that all revolve around my reptile keeping, and you know, it's all connected. Like even this podcast is like, you know, just another way to like network and get the name out there and the recognition and have fun, you know, but that's not like our goal or like our set out, but it is part of what it does for you. But it's not like it's not like we've mapped out these like goals or these targets or anything. It's just like we're having fun doing this,
right?
But it is part of that.
Well, we're sharing our passion and this, you know, and our personalities, and like the biggest benefit, in my opinion, of YouTube as far as marketing goes is people like to know who they're buying from. And even with big corporations, you know, they'll put some stupid thing out and then say, "Oh, I'm not supporting whatever corporation. Now I'm buying this other competitor's product." So it's the same thing, you know, with this. It's like when people get to know you, sometimes, and I've done this too, where I just want to buy from that person because I like them as a person. I like what they're about. I like their message. And so I'm in. And, you know, I've found that people like have told me, which is weird but humbling. It's like, oh, I just want to buy, you know, something from you. I can't wait to buy from you. And I'm just sitting here being hypercritical of my collection and thinking like, why would they want anything, you know? But part of it may not be the snakes. It might be the personality that they like and that they want to spend the money here, you know, as opposed to somebody else that treated them like shit or wrote them off or never responded. So yeah.
Well, everyone has their own what they like too.
Right. But I think that's part of this podcast. What I was saying is that it's showing people who we are and what we're all about. And there's people out there, silent or otherwise, that are fucking can't stand us, and that's fine. And you're never going to please everybody. But it's like twice as hard to try and put up this facade of something you're not, and then continue. It's like carrying on a lie. Eventually, you're going to forget the lie and you're going to fuck up.
Well, right. It's like tossed around the hypocrisy word, but it's a lot of that too, because it's like, you know, sometimes those people, it always seems to be like they're like the guy you were talking about that's just constantly negative and constantly just like, you can see who those people are, dude. And it's funny because some of those people are the same ones that are also posting like motivational things and like you know, be happy fucking memes and little video shorts and shit. It's like, but then you like it's just I don't know, it's just, I guess this isn't more in general, speaking people in general, but it is in the reptile community too, for sure.
Yeah. Well,
thanks for sharing your passion.
Thanks for
Are you going to be sharing your sexuality later?
Thanks for absorbing my passion.
Bloating?
Thanks for absorbing my passion.
Oh, absorbing. That was.
You're a good pin cushion for my passion.
I'm a pretty good catcher, dude.
I
got a hell of a catcher's mitt. Let me tell you.
That big old meaty fur burger.
Hey, I heard that the way when you get monetized, you just have to make sure that there's like no cuss words in the first 10 minutes. Courtney told me that.
Oh no, I know what she said, but I think that she was saying it sarcastically, like maybe just not in the first 10 minutes. That's not going to help you.
Oh, I thought she was saying it like legit as a fact.
I
It
did
sounded like
too.
she was saying it as a fact.
I did too, but then I reread it and I looked at it through a different lens, and I was like,
Put
well, maybe
different
she's,
eyes in.
yeah, maybe she's saying like jokingly, well, yeah, especially if you're cussing in the first fucking 1 minute.
I guess. I don't know. Would make sense though, dude, because I just imagine that fucking YouTube's AI is just as lazy as they are. Just fucking, oh, this one's good. 2-hour podcast.
Yeah.
Watch the first 10 minutes. It's good.
They look at the thumbnail. It checks out.
Oh, it checks out, dude. It's all good. Next. So through months and months of negotiations back and forth between our people and his people, and it got really testy for a while there. And
Some hot boardroom meetings.
yeah, there was actually some, threats of physical violence at one point, and one of us got a restraining order, and it wasn't me. But finally, through this tough negotiating process, we brokered a deal with the Gray Rider Reptiles. Yes, Mr. Charlie is our new sponsor number 5,
Sponsor number 5.
and we're cutting it off unless you've got $50,000.
Well, now we got to go back to the boardroom drawing table because we're not cutting it off.
I'm just kidding. Well, we kind of are though.
And
We got to get. We have to. I think we need to keep a pretty steady ratio between
Yeah.
watchers and sponsors. Like our sponsors shouldn't be higher than our watchers.
yeah, and we don't
Okay.
want our screen looking like somebody's hat. You know
Yeah,
what I
that's
mean? So it's
wild,
like,
dude.
Just shit everywhere.
Dude, I heard that the hat got retired, dude.
What hat? The hat?
The hat.
Oh shit! I wonder if we could buy it.
Just a rumor I heard on the interwebs. Has not been confirmed, but
We should try and buy that thing.
I was told by a very, 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 very credible source that the pin hat is being retired.
Say it ain't so.
You know? Like Axl Rose said, nothing lasts forever.
Cue the music.
Even cold November rain.
Shake the milk carton.
But yeah,
Wait.
happy to bring Charlie on board. He's a great dude. Got to, been communicating with him for a while now, and then actually got to meet him and hang out face to face at Tinley in last October. Yeah, last October. And, kept in touch and definitely been doing a lot of shed testing for me, and always try to send my business to Charlie. There's been a couple times where I've had to use RGI, and I no knock on RGI, but I want to support what Charlie's got going, and I even talked to him about it too. He understands. Charlie's not butthurt.
Well, dude, they both.
Ideally, they should, and I think they are working together. That's
Yeah, and they both have different strengths and different things that they've, I guess, solved.
I feel like there's room
codes they've
for more
cracked
than
in
just one person doing that.
In any industry, in any market,
It's
there
healthy.
should be more than one.
It's
Yeah,
healthy.
absolutely. And it's going to create a better end result or end product
Right.
when you have more people doing it. And
It's going to be cost efficient, and that's going to trickle down to us because there's competition in pricing. It's just common sense. It's like basic economics 101.
And
3, 4, 5. Why not?
RGI guys, I met them and hung out with them a little bit.
Oh, they're
super
great.
nice.
I love Ben.
Nothing negative
Sean's
to say.
cool too.
Totally.
Sean laughed at our really horrible shit jokes, dude. So
We don't have horrible shit jokes.
No, I don't mean like horrible shit
Yours.
jokes, like bad jokes. I mean like horrible shit,
Oh,
like I can't believe that
Unbecoming.
motherfucker said that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Non-PC.
So basically,
Yeah,
just
they're-
Troy talking at church.
they're all good dudes, and I just I really get along with Charlie. For the limited time I've talked to him, and
He's a great dude.
yeah, and he definitely is, and he really cares about his product that he puts out, and the way he's funded it and the way he's done everything is so like ultra grassroots that
Yeah.
hats off to him. He's grinded very hard to get to where he's at. And I'll grind you, dude. Don't back up.
Get your grinder away from me.
Come over here,
weirdo.
Put your foot back.
Speaking
over
of
here.
grinder,
Put your foot back over here.
are you unsubscribed yet?
To Simple Serpents?
No, to Grinder.
No. Keep it up. So we're very, very privileged and honored to have somebody like that.
Yeah.
And it goes, no knock on our Jag guys, but when you vibe with somebody a certain way, you want to put your support and your energy into that person more so than others. And so I think that because we've kind of had that, especially you more so than I have for sure, but because we have that kind of relationship with them, that's definitely somebody, like I've said before, that we're going to support just as much as they're supporting us. We believe in what they're doing, and just a good dude. So all we need to do is get Robin on the screen.
Oh,
Because our we don't ship anything but Redline.
But I think I've been consistently doing Redline for like the last 3 years. That's all I use.
Dude,
And for my shipping supplies too. They've got awesome shipping supplies. You like accessory stuff like scissors for cutting. They've got all kinds of scrapers. They sell everything.
Dude, Robin's and I got to know more at this Colorado show, much more than I did before. And that dude is super genuine and such a nice guy.
Yeah.
And at first, the few times I'd been around him, I hadn't really talked to him. I kind of felt like maybe either he doesn't like me or he just doesn't care to talk to me. But not even the case at all. And so talking with him and hanging out with him more in Colorado, that guy is somebody I definitely admire in the industry, not just because of his company, but because of his personality, who he is, what he's all about. Met his wife also, and just super nice people. And I can't say enough about the guy. If shameless plug, if anyone's listening, if whatever 9 people of you know Robin, reach out and tell him.
And by the way, for Charlie, it's shedtesting.com is his website. You can go on there. He's got simple instructions. He even has like the option on there where you can print out like labeling for your sheds. You can print out like, I don't know if it's just blanks that you write on or if you can actually put it in the info and it prints out. But I mean, it's simple instructions, simple, easy to do. And he's like, I mean, for the most part, all the jeans he's got, like he's dialed in. It's like the turnaround is sometimes like the same day he gets it. There's some other stuff he still has to send out or to a lab. And then he's got a bunch of stuff in sequencing right now. So some big news coming, I'm sure, soon enough about that. And so that's the new sponsor. And like you said I think it was last week when we were talking about it's the bros. It's like how
it's the bros.
It's awesome. It's how it should be.
Yep.
Another sponsor that would be great. Actually, I'm gonna go this way. You know what? I'm gonna whore us out right now, dude. Watch this. We're looking for a Coco Block sponsorship.
No, we're not.
Yes, we are.
Coconut bedding, not Coco Block.
Well, you know what I meant. A
Come on,
block
dude.
of cocoa, dude. Cocoa bedding, but it comes in a block. God, you're such a blockhead. Dude, that hat makes you look fucking like 30 points less on the IQ test, dude.
You mean like a bedding that's for like a chip bedding for reptiles?
Yeah.
Like a reptile chip bedding?
Coconut chip bedding husk. Whatever the fuck word you want to use, dude.
Speaking of bros, is that why you're saying that?
Yeah. No, I was just saying because that's there's several companies out there. Go ahead and send an email to twopeensandapodcast@gmail.com with your resume and what you bring to the table. Yeah. And like I said, this guy will resort to physical violence.
No,
he's not afraid to get a restraining order, dude.
I'm not afraid
to get a sponsorship, dude.
I'm not afraid to bruise these knees, baby. But I will say this. Yeah, you heard
Pause.
Nope.
Wait a minute.
Nope. That was what it was intended. There was no...
Okay.
Weird
kink.
Seriously, though, like, with the sponsors, I don't know if I said this before, but it's very important to us to, team up with and affiliate with people that are not only cool, but that we like, but are actually moving the industry forward and are positive. Jesus, I can't talk right now. Positive people in the industry doing good things. Like they're growing the industry, and so obviously Charlie with the genetic testing. We talk about Rob with the shipping. We talk about JT with the Repta chip, and then Shane, Jerome, Troy, Baker, Devin. I keep calling him Baker. His first name's Devin, but these are all people that are in some way or another influencing other people in the industry in a positive way, and they're doing things to help grow the community, which is what we need. We need to. This is why Miguel is so important too. We need to mainstream this industry as much as possible, because I've said it for a long time now. Like 90% of the people that I talk to that I tell I breed reptiles, they look at me like I'm fucking nuts, and the other 10% are very interested. And what Miguel was doing with the celebrities and getting all these mainstream people into the hobby, I think that helped grow the hobby big time on just the keeper level, even, which is awesome. We need more keepers, just like we do breeders. But without that, we're confined into this like small sect of society and people that don't even know this industry exists, like myself 5 years ago. It's like we need to get the message out there to everybody and show people like we're not just all weirdo nerds that I thought were reptile keepers. There's a bunch of normal people, business people, whatever, people you never expected to do this are doing it. And I think that the more that people see that, the more that they might be inspired to do it themselves and to get into it and be motivated to get into it, because they know there's great people out there that actually vibe with. And so, I think it's important to affiliate ourselves with people that are doing that for the industry and with companies that are doing that for the industry. And so that's part of the whole thing. Whether or not, you get any business from us, I hope you do, but we're not sitting here talking like we're just going to skyrocket your company. We're just saying that it's a personal point of preference that we want to affiliate ourselves with people that we are like-minded with that are also good for the industry. So,
fair enough.
I step off my soapbox now.
Thank God. I was waiting for you to shut the fuck up.
Say something
dude.
Profound, you fucking dunce.
Happiness is a state of mind, not an achievement.
Yeah.
Suck on that.
Nah, I'm good.
Cracker. Well, this was a really great conversation, and I really felt your passion.
Did you?
It was flowing all up inside me. I was
Yes.
was romanticized by the vibrations and energy that it brought forth upon my soul, and I feel like I've been enlightened by your prowlness.
I mean, what?
Prowlness.
Prowlness?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Look it up in the dictionary, Mr. Google.
Well, I want to know what it means.
Just look it up, dude.
I'll pass. I'm glad you enjoyed my passion. I feel like we touched on a lot of topics on this episode.
We did. It was a pretty good episode. I think that it was one of the better episodes, except there was a couple times where I thought maybe you could stop breathing. That would have been good. But other than that, it went really good.
Your beard's getting out of control, dude.
Dude, my beard is in control of me.
It makes your head look
This
small.
beard took over my brain back in 2021. I haven't been in control since.
It looks like it's
It
growing
lets
out of
me
your ears.
come here and talk. But
It makes your head look small, though, actually.
good. Maybe that's what
Why do you have
need,
it
dude.
so long?
Why do I have it so long?
Yeah.
Because I like it.
Why?
Why
You think
wouldn't
it makes
I,
you look
dude?
cool?
No, it makes me look uncool, dude.
Do you think
I grow my beard unironically, okay?
is it like a? It's like a point of power, or what is it?
Yeah, it's a fucking.
It's your source
No,
of
it's like a deep-seated
energy?
fucking evolutionary trait of alpha males, dude. Don't you know?
No, I don't, because
Yeah,
I feel
this-
like
this-
if you're in a
the stubbly fuzz, peach fuzz man
if you got in a dust up, somebody yanked that
that
thing
wears
like
jewelry on his fucking hands and arms.
that says "Dad."
Oh yeah, well, you're gonna probably need about 16 more of those, dude.
So, anyways, thanks for sticking around.
Yeah, thank you. We had fun.
We had a great time.
We have fun. That's why we do this, by the way. And we don't mean to hurt anyone's feelings. We really don't.
No.
If we say things and you get upset, then just don't watch us.
Yeah.
And we can still be friends. Just don't watch us. It's not hard. I don't watch us.
Or just complain publicly and then give us the opportunity to shred you.
Yeah,
On a comment
those are your
forum.
options. There's no like gray area in this. It's very black and white.
Yeah.
You make your choice. Choose wisely. Very, very different options here.
That's not a threat. That's just saying, if you're going to poke the bear, you got to be able to let us poke back. That's all.
Yeah.
Very simple. So anyways, with that being said.
Are you a bear? Are you a
I'm a
power
bear.
bottom bear?
You're a bear
Or
cub, dude.
Or are you a power top?
You're a bear cub.
I feel like you're a power bottom bear.
What?
Yeah.
Nothing about me says power bottom. Nothing.
Yeah, it says bottom.
See you next week.